Well, it's the fourth day of World's Group Stage with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I am joined by former TSM top laner BrokenBlade. Have you ever been introduced that way previously?
No, never was. This is
Okay.
the first time.
All right. There we go. No, G2 BrokenBlade. I won't insult the LEC fans by continuing that. Anyway, so unfortunate loss today against JDG, but you guys held your own against a team that is perhaps even a tournament favorite. So, what do you feel about the performance that the team was able to put up against them today?
I actually think we didn't play how we usually play. I think we had a lot of hesitation in the game. I think we could have, just went mid and fought and actually just won. Like at some point where I was really strong, Silas was really strong. The game was going actually really well. And then there was this one team fight on mid which decided the game, right? Like the last team fight where I think some stuff also went wrong there. I think we did play okay in some stages of the game. I think though if you played without hesitation and without being like scared, I guess I think we could have won the game very very fast, but we didn't, and it's something we have to learn from. I think this is actually a good game to improve from because we are obviously playing against maybe even the best, right? But yeah, I'm not like obviously it sucks that we lose, but if I'm gonna be very sad for this loss for a long time, then we won't be able to bounce back. So I think I will try to learn what I can from this game. There's lots to look at from team's perspective, individual perspective. So I'll try to do that and get better from that. We still have 3 games to go, so.
Maybe you can give me your thoughts on how the Darius stuff went down in that game because there was a lot of cheers from the audience whenever that went through.
I mean, yeah, it's something that obviously I prepared, right? And I think it worked good. I think they did put a lot of attention top lane where I had to give up a lot of farm, and even though I did give up a lot of farm, I got a lot of kills from the 2v2s, 3v3s, we dove in ones, and I think it actually worked pretty good. I do think their combo was a bit uh, decent into my champ. I think Sivirlulu is pretty good against Darius. Anyway, again, I think in all those team fights, I could have been a bit more clutch, a bit more, without hesitation, and actually carry all those fights. I think if you look back at it, I did mistakes in almost every fight. If you look at it, but I think again something I can take from it and learn from it. And
Where do you think the hesitation and mistakes are coming from? Because if this is not the way that you normally play, I don't know if it's like the stage or if it's, I don't know, what was it? Somebody was, Larson was complaining about how hot it was on stage, so he said he wants the Swedish weather brought to stage. So I don't know what's causing the missteps.
I think it's everyone. Honestly, I think it's like more the vibe that you get from playing, right? Like if, for example, if you play against EG, everyone is like chill, right? And like there's like everything is clear. We talk calmly, right? But in this game, for example, we had a bit more panic, bit more panicky voice from everyone. And I think sometimes we try to like calm ourselves down, and actually talk about the game. Um, but I think again, if it was I think nameplates off, we would have probably just won the game in like 25 minutes. It's something we have to work on. Obviously, I think we were a bit in panic, or like we didn't know what we were doing in the game. But I think Jankos was like mentioning, "Hey guys, let's calm down, let's stop panicking," And it did feel a bit better, but I think in the end we just had it still there just a little bit.
So the nerves that kind of come along with this, is that exclusive to the LPL, or do you think teams also kind of get this against LCK these days?
And no, I don't really think so. I mean, at least in the game that we played against Daman, it wasn't like that. It was more so like we took a very bad fight and the game was just instantly lost after that. I think when we go in again, if you would like when we play against, I think on Friday it is. We probably just like I think it also feels better if you play 3 games in a row rather than one game, right? Uh, and I think everybody's fine. Everybody knows what we could have done better, and I think everyone is still confident that we're gonna make it out.
All right. Well, what do you think of this Worlds meta? Because obviously things have been evolving over the course of the tournament, and people are pulling out things like Darius. So, what do you think of how it's developed so far? Do you like it?
I mean, I like it. I think the top meta, in particular, is very set. Usually, I think like there's Aatrox, right, which is very very contested pick. It's very known, and then other than that, it's more tanks. And then after the tanks are out, you can actually play whatever you want. It's just about preference, right? And I think yeah, for me, it was I decided to pick Darius this game. I could have picked something else instead, right? I think it's just about what you prefer, what your team prefers to play with, and then go with that. So I actually can really like the meta. It's not like, oh, you will always play this against that. It's more so like, oh, if Aatrox is out, everything's kind of open, right? Because you also see like people trying to counterpick tanks with like the Fiora, and they likes to do that, like a C9 at least. And then yeah, like then there's people who like me who pick the areas, right? And I think it's all out there in the open on top lane, and then you can just choose what you like to play and whatnot.
I think especially after the game or the day where we saw LCK lose their games and LEC win all their games, there was a lot of consideration that perhaps LEC is the second best region at this event, LCK being a bit behind. What is your assessment? Do you think that's accurate? Do you think LEC and LCK are about equal? You know, where's everybody at? You don't have to talk about North America.
I mean, I think it's all about every individual team that actually performs here. It's always used to have a like a start line, right? And I think obviously the Asian teams they're a bit ahead usually in the meta or when it comes to gameplay, or the way they play is always very aggressive usually. And I think it's for the Western teams to adapt to that and actually get better from that. And that's something at least from last time I was with TSM, we couldn't overcome that. And I feel like with G2, we're actually overcoming that right now. And I think, like I have my hopes still up, right? I think we are going to make it out. If I would be thinking something else, that would be really weird, right? Yes. So again, yeah, it really sucks to lose today, but I'm pretty sure we can beat any team in the tournament. I think if JDG is supposed to be the best and we can, hold our own against them, then why can we not win against them, right?
You pointed out that, you know, with TSM you couldn't catch up to sort of the way that the Asian teams were maybe figuring out the meta faster, et cetera. But with G2 you can. It feels like this is obviously a trend across North America and EU teams, oftentimes at Worlds. What do you think it is that allows you guys? Is it just a superior understanding of the game? Is it the coaching side? Like where is it where you guys are able to unlock this just faster, especially considering that you've played on both sides of that?
I mean, I don't think it's particularly the region that you're playing at, right? Because if you say, for example, like today, G2 is from NA, right? Then nothing would change in the environment, right? But I think in at that time, we as a whole group, we just couldn't, overcome the bad losses and scrims. We couldn't take something out of them. Sometimes people would just lose lanes so hard that you couldn't actually learn from it, and that would make the games a bit frustrating to play, right? And if you can't put that aside, which we couldn't, yeah, I think back then it's already like really hard to again adapt to other teams, learn from other teams, and I think that's actually the most important thing when you go to international tournaments, to be able to see how other regions play, adapt their play style, or actually counter their play style, right? Because if you look at LPL, they play very, very explosive, very aggressive. You could see even in our game, they weren't really going to side lane that much and going to mid lane. And if you don't think about the way they play, or think about how you want to play against that, it's like a bit hard. And it all comes from practice, right? Everything starts there. And I think if your practice is like already starting with a bad mood, or like bad environment, or like a bad vibe rather, then it's just hard to, and I think that was the main issue in my opinion when we went 0-6.
I feel like when I was talking to Yankos earlier this event, he mentioned that you guys were mostly only able to scrim against Rogue because you guys got in kind of late. Is there any kind of weird, backwards logic situation where it's actually almost better to not scrim as much going into Worlds? Because I talked to so many pros who are like, oh yeah, you come in, you play LPL or LCK in scrims, and you just get like reality checked. And it becomes like so painful. You mentioned that scrims being a really tough thing for TSM potentially that year. So is there any world where it's almost like kind of nice to just pop in and be like, okay, who knows what we could do, versus just taking loss after loss in scrims?
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense for the people that are losing, but I don't think we're actually losing that many games to the Asian teams. That's why I think also the environment is obviously better if you're winning rather than losing, right? But I think even if you would be losing, I feel like it would be like everyone would try their best to like not make it bad, if that makes sense, right? And I think that's the main difference between that time and this the other time, right? And Yeah, I think that story which you just shared, right? I think many teams already had that discussion, right? When you just start losing every game against the Asian teams, and then you at some point just stop scrimming them, right?
Yeah.
But I think for us, it's not like that. That's why I also I have my hopes up still because I know we can beat them because we do, right? And we will have to show it, obviously. Otherwise, we don't deserve it. We have three more games to play, so if we win, we deserve it. If we don't, we don't, right? So.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play over those next 3 games, and I think, as you said, Friday. So the schedule's always hard to keep track of, but so I don't fault you for that. But anything that you want to say to any of the fans out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are not in the best spot right now, but if my hopes are up, I hope yours is as well. So I'm pretty sure we can still win, and we will do everything, obviously, to go back, learn from these games, and win.
Very good. Thank you so much for the interview. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things Worlds right here on my YouTube channel. Hello, I'm going to be going on to the rest of Worlds, even if the rest of North America isn't. I think they will, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, just know that I'll be here for all of Worlds and creating all this content. So maybe you'll subscribe, and with me will be Alienware because they support everything that I do. And I've got their gear here. Our editor, this video is edited on a Alienware computer. So please check them out. There's a link in the description, and purchasing from them actually really does support the channel. So thank you so much.